Hello and welcome to an afternoon talk show, guys. Yes, it's the afternoon talk show. Got a really good one for you today. Two guests. Two guests. Ooh. Hey, I'm gonna have to do that again. Something happened. I got really two guests, two really good guests. It's an afternoon show for me here in New Zealand. So these guys have changed their brand. Hang on, we'll be right back. Should have a laugh track for that. My God, what am I doing? Had to go and mute my television. What an old, cantankerous, stupid man I am. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I'm going to start the show. We've got again. I'm going to say this, repeat this again. Is anyway, blah, ha, here we go. Yes. And I just want to kind of say this that chat. I don't mean to ignore you, but I've got two guests on, and they're lovely guys. So I will be taking your questions further on into the discussion and the good conversation. So please be patient with me on that one. So hello to all you guys, Gap, and Dragon Buddy, and Rolando Ed5. How are you? Let's get these wonderful people on, shall we? Please welcome on to the show Josh and Shanti.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you.
Our adoring audience.
Hey guys, how are you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, Pete. How you doing?
Awesome. Now I've got you on the show. It took a little bit of time, but here you are. And it's great to have you here. Talking all about, I guess I could start. How did you get going onto YouTube? I mean, we can answer coming from a, how did you start on YouTube? How let's go with that question.
Or just watching.
Individually or together?
Individually. Let's start with you, Shanti. How did you get started in this wonderful world of YouTube land?
Well, I guess probably I'm sure my answer is going to be the same as a lot of other people. As I'm sure we're all aware of, if you're not, you've been living under a rock, but the pandemic, honestly, and really it started with Twitter. I had been on Twitter since 2012 and didn't start getting heavy into Twitter until the pandemic hit and I got sent home to work from home. And then from there, I met up with the Red 5 Network and joined the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. We parted ways since then just because, we wanted to give more attention now to our current stream and stuff. So it was getting too much, being co-hosts of all these different shows. But then eventually that led to, let me watch some of the streams that are happening in the Red 5 Network. And then through that, I found other streams and ended up meeting this fool right here in a stream chat room.
Ooh, me?
What? Yeah, you, yes, all you. So it kind of just went from there. He was, honestly, to be truthful, was not intended to ever be the co-host with me. I was going to try and do it on my own, But to be quite honest, after the first episode, it was so nerve-wracking being by myself when the stream started so quickly. I asked Josh, can you just please be co-host with me, because I just couldn't take it.
It does get daunting though, doesn't it? If you do it on
Basically,
your
she
own.
realized that I carried the show.
Shut
So,
up! Oh my god, we're not on my stream, so I can't kick him out. Now I got to deal with him. But
yep, you got to deal with me. That's how it rolls.
You, Josh? How about you? How did I mean? You probably asked this question
Yeah, I
before.
mean, during the pandemic, I mean, I had nothing else to do. I had nothing to do with social media or anything at the time, and I figured why not give it a shot, and started watching, collector videos like Shabby and Toy Polloi, and then eventually made my way to Salacious Rum, who convinced me under much duress that I needed to come on to the Monkey Lizard Hangout. And then from that point on, it was, one invite after another until finally, I met this fool here
hey,
in a chat on another channel, and then we got to be friends, and eventually she did it like she said, asked me to come on and guest for the show that she was starting, and we connected, personally, and then after we'd done a couple of episodes, and then I think at that point she felt obligated to offer me a time on the show.
I
So
did.
here we are. Yeah.
Because why I asked the question first up, and it was probably
I slept my way to the top, is what I'm saying.
Pretty much.
why I asked that question straight up on the first question is because really you both are action figure collectors too, aren't you? I mean, from
He's more the collector. He's more the collector. I definitely am not to the level of anybody in the Monkey Lizard army. I don't really hunt like they do. I mean, yes, recently I've been trying to go to a couple of toy stores, and that's only because living in Miami, I didn't think that there was anything like that down here. It wasn't exactly a nerd centric city. And then, now it's just I'm more of like a random kind of collector. If I see something that I like because it has to do with one of my interests, but I'm not like G-Force or anything like that, and Rum, that they go and they actually are looking for stuff, and or the other guys shopping online. Yeah, I shop online for
Well, I
shoes.
mean, G-Force, as he stated, did start it all for me, really. So it all comes back to the G spot.
That's the most important spot.
what was? I ask you both this question. What was your going back further into the past? What was your childhoods like, Shanti? What was your childhoods like in collecting or in nerdship?
I really, especially living and being raised in the household that I was raised in, a lot of the nerd stuff was definitely, that's a boy thing, not a girl thing. So I definitely was the kind of girl that had Barbies. But at the same time, I also wanted a super soaker gun. I wanted a Nerf gun. You know what I mean? Like, I still wanted all, the toys that the boys played with. And I wasn't raised.
I think you just like being able to pump it and then
Can you
spray
please?
all over.
Jesus.
Anyway.
No, for real. No. The collecting thing probably didn't start until I was much older. Like when I was in high school, we had these class trips where we would actually go to the theme parks in Orlando. And it kind of started there because I'm a big, big, big Nightmare Before Christmas fan. So I would probably say the majority of the stuff that I own pretty much relates to that, and Batman, because I was raised in a Batman family.
Excuse the banging, by the way. Somebody's actually doing some maintenance on these apartments. So,
how dare they? I actually don't hear it. It's pretty good. I actually don't even hear it. Yeah, you're
that's good because I can hear it. So,
how about you, Josh? What was your childhood like with the collecting?
I mean, I think it all goes back to Christmas, the year that the Masters of the Universe hit the toy shelves. It was 82, 80, yeah. And and that year, my dad had gotten me Castle Grayskull and the whole line that had come out up to that point: He-Man, Skeletor, Merman, Beastman, Tila, Man-at-Arms. And he had them all set up when I woke up Christmas morning in the castle, ready for me to immediately start playing. And I think that that was what really captivated my love for toys in general. And I was already collecting Star Wars just because I loved the movies. But back then it wasn't really collecting; it was just something to play with. There were toys, and even now, to me, it's not really about the collecting so much as it about that connection to the things that I love, the nostalgia of it. I mean, just like it was as a kid, I wanted to be able to play out the scenarios of my favorite heroes, um, and uh, and that just kind of stuck with me off and on. I mean, obviously there were times where I was heavier into it than others, and times where I stopped altogether, and times where I was drowning in it, like currently.
So
Um,
that's including the porn dolls you probably had at
yes,
Christmas.
exactly. I mean, I collect a wide variety of
Pete
things.
knows.
Yes.
It's all for the articles, people. It's all for the
Hmm.
articles.
um, it does actually stem though from your childhood, right? Going into a little bit of the future, right? Your love of film, isn't it? So you're a big component of film, aren't you? With what you do. I mean,
Both of us, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, for sure. For me, working in the cinema industry, I mean, that was always like the dream job for me because I just love that visual medium of storytelling. I love movies and TV. I always have. It's captivating. It's escapism at its best. It teleports me away from the world around me that is filled with misery and takes me to maybe not a happier place, but a more adventurous place, a place that's just not a reminder of what's around me, you know. That's what I love about the cinema experiences. When the lights fade down, it's kind of like the world disappears into the shadow, and it's just you along on this ride through this journey with these characters. Yeah, I mean, that definitely, the toys are an extension of that, or collectibles. They basically allow me to have a connection just kind of standing around visually that I can just look at and immediately be reminded of those moments where I was teleported to another world.
you Shanti, what about you?
Oh my God. I mean, I I lived in the movie theater as a child. I don't know I don't know if that honestly comes from being a child of being a child of immigrants. My grandparents are from Cuba, so God only knows what they were able to do on the island. I mean, luckily they escaped when things really, when the shit really hit the fan. I mean, my parents have been in this country. They weren't born here, but they've been living here since they were 1 year old, and that was something that they all did. My mom lived in the movie theater. My dad loves the movie theater experience. Anytime I anytime my younger sister and I slept over at my grandparents' house on my dad's side, it was pretty much a guarantee that they were taking us to the movies, and it was an event. Getting ready, my grandmother telling you, go use the bathroom before you leave the house. Make sure you have your jacket. They would take us to the fancier candy store that was by the theater, and she would buy us gummy worms, or we would buy the candy there and sit down. And the same thing as Josh. I mean, I can't imagine how much I strained my eyes as a child, just staring up at the lights in the auditorium, waiting for them to dim. I mean, and I would stare to the point where my eyes would play tricks on me and I'd have to blink because I'm like, I swear the lights are finally dimming, but they weren't. And I would ask my parents or my grandparents incessantly, what time is it? What time is it? When is the movie starting? When is the movie starting? And even with the trailers, I mean, it wasn't even about the movie. I was excited just for the trailers to start. And I'm still am. I'm very punctual to the movies, like for that reason, because I love the entire experience from beginning to end.
Yeah, I mean, I put myself in here because I loved the movies when I was a kid. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
even in a small town in New Zealand, Nelson, on the South Island of New Zealand, we had a big theatre. We had one of those big, and you can smell the popcorn and the old chairs and the leather chairs, and it is an event, isn't it? It's an event. You're waiting for those. As a kid, you're waiting for those lights to just dim, and see the
Mm-hmm.
trailers. It was a different time back in those days. If you were coming off the brunt of what you came off with the late '80s, right, Shanti and
Yeah, I
Josh?
was born in '86. Yeah.
So it's lots changed though, hasn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
in the dichotomy of film, isn't it? So
Yeah.
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 It's amazing how we in your program, is about nostalgia, right? So
Yeah. Pretty much.
you can think of where you came from and where your smells you had as a child in that theatre with your parents or your friends, and now something's drastically changed,
Oh my God.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I
So
remember the days before we started having the auditorium seating, and everything was just one level, and you'd fear getting that tall person sitting in front of you, or not
Well, I
having the
mean, you
assigned seating. We've come a long, long way.
I mean, we talk about pop culture, and
Mm-hmm.
really the pulse of pop culture is driven today by nostalgia for
Mm-hmm.
a time that's gone, that era when we had that escapism. People long for that. I think that's why the '80s has come back in such a powerful way.
And I think that's natural. I think all of us
mm,
can probably admit that there's a different time period that we wish we could have lived in, and most people would probably tell you it was some time in the past. I can tell you right now, I wish I would have grown up as a teenager in the '70s with disco and the movies of the Like the '70s is really my favorite decade for music and movies. So
I
that's the
was
time I wish I would have grown up in.
I was 7 years old
Hmm.
when I was growing up in the '70s, and
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to hang around with your Disney pop my culture thing, but I had
Mhm.
to do things. When you were talking about the 100-year birthday, whatever celebration or anniversary, I look back within myself because my father and my whole family went to Disneyland when I was 7 years old, right? And I just thought this is just amazing.
Sorry, there's ducks
And,
behind me.
um, and it's not Donald, is it? It's but I thought it was amazing. I thought it was just magic, absolutely magic. Um, where was I going with this? I probably lost my train of thought here. So,
The
um,
Disney thing.
things I just wanted to invoke that. I think I did actually comment on the chat saying that yeah, I went to Disneyland when I was 7 years old, and I thought it was magic. But now things have changed. You were talking about Disneyland being a land of
Right.
enchantment, right? So, uh, but still, there is talk, and we can talk about this. I know because it's your background, pop my culture is your background. You didn't talk anything about what's been happening on the other side of this Disney property. So,
Right.
um, why is the fascination of that, Shanti? Can I just put that to you and Josh? Why did you just keep it as to that discussion, which is a good discussion, into being light-hearted and nostalgic? Yes.
Because we wanted to discuss its relevance to pop culture, not its current state of emergency as far as social media. That stuff is current day politics. It's not what we are there to be all about. Like
Not
we
only
want to
that,
go ahead.
not only that, but despite the current state of Disney, at the end of the day, you still can't argue that in 2023, any kid around the world sees Mickey, they know who the fuck he is. So despite everything that's going on, good and bad, it's still a pop culture icon. Everyone knows who Walt Disney is. Everyone knows who Mickey and Minnie are. You know what I mean? Everyone knows certain Disney characters, whether they're of the past or the present. So you can't deny, its relevance in history. I mean, 100 years, think about that. 100 years is a long time. They are a historical company.
Yeah, I mean,
So
there's no one alive today that really truly
who
remembers
has
a
done,
time without Disney. Also, completely off topic, that duck in the background,
I'm moving away. That's
it sounds like someone
I'm
jerking
worried
the
it's mating
chicken
season. Yeah.
back in the
Looking
back.
away.
It's like,
Sorry, guys. I had to get a little bit of a controversial question into that kind of mix. So
No,
that's probably
I don't care. Listen,
one
this
I
is
need
your
to.
show. No. I just want to say that if it comes to being on other people's shows, if you're going to ask me a question, I'll be honest about it. You know what I mean? So if these are the questions that you want to ask us, I'm letting you know, Peter, it's totally cool with us. You know what I mean?
All right.
Like it's just not the way that we want to operate our channel, because let's be honest here, there's too much fighting already as it is amongst the groups and this and that. And our goal really has been from the very beginning is we just want to provide a good time. It's Saturday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. We just want people to
Yeah,
have fun and laugh at our
and
stupidity.
that's where I was heading. I was heading
Yeah.
into really and that's what really stands out for you, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
happiness, the fun factor, I mean, you
well,
went
is
from
it?
Scarif After Dark, right?
Mhm.
To still the fun factor in that. So does that? I mean, is that really good for you? Probably a stupid question, but is that really good for you to actually have that standoutness of being this sort of show?
Well,
Right?
I think we want to be a reminder, honestly, why any of us got into it. We were all sitting in our houses miserable because we were on lockdown.
Right.
So we started YouTube channels. We started chatting on live streams. And why did we do it? Because it was fun and it took our minds off of all the drama. Well, that drama went away and it was then replaced with drama that we created for the sake of having drama most of the time.
Right.
And I would rather remind people of why we got here to begin with, why we all really started it was to just have a good time
And
and
if
to
Go ahead.
talk about things and share ideas and opinions and still respect one another in the process, because it's
Mm.
just about sharing, not about, at least it wasn't initially about subs and likes and views and all of that stuff.
We've forgotten how to have a conversation without being at each
Right.
other's throats.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I want to
Yeah.
say in addition to what Josh is saying is an argument that I've been making recently, and unfortunately now with the current state of Hollywood and the writer's strike and the actor's strike, which breaks my heart, honestly. It's something that hasn't happened in 40 years, both of them striking at the same time. But I was saying a while back that all this stuff that we're fighting over, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all of that, that we've been bickering about on Twitter or on the chats, wherever it may be, I would say, what were to happen if all of this were to go away tomorrow? You have wasted all of that negative energy, spewing all this.
Nope.
Nope, she froze. It's because the internet didn't want to hear what you had to say.
I get the point because I'll stop when she chimes back in. I get the point where because I'm not. Here we go. Continue.
My back.
Yeah,
what I was
you're back.
saying is that I would say that we're wasting all this time and energy being a negative, insulting each other, being pissed off that you don't like what I don't like what you like. Why not? I don't understand. Trying to convince people. And I would say, listen, this could all be gone tomorrow. And then what? You wasted your time on this instead of just trying to see each other's points of view and accepting the fact that it's an opinion. And your goal shouldn't be to try and change that person's opinion. Now look at the mess we're in. Now there's a writer's strike. Now there's an actor's strike. Everything's on hold. So it's like,
well, the fact of the matter
I
is,
hope that people actually go out and do other activities now than just be on social media all day long.
The fact of the matter is opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and most of them stink. So why argue about it? Why get bogged down in the muck of, oh, you don't have my opinion, well then you're wrong and I hate you. And it's so absolute.
We have to
everything's so black and white.
Like honestly, we become adult bullies.
Yeah.
I do actually feel for their actors because I'm an extra actor. I'm an extra actor, but I'm not to the bigger stage, but to the wee small stage.
Doesn't matter. You're still essential.
In a big, huge pond. But I'm not a SAG actor, so I know how they feel. So I know where they're coming from, and I know the writers where they're coming from, and it does actually have that devastation because they're not getting paid. They're not getting paid what they should be getting paid from the producers or the streaming sense of the word. Carl Urban just has stepped down from a movie. A New Zealand actor. He must be a SAG actor. So he stepped down. Ryan Reynolds has walked off with Hugh Jackman from Deadpool 3. So it's a whole ball of mess. So there is that added that trickles down to the extra actor that me. I have to say, look, well, I defend the actors and writers that they should get the fair deal and fair pay, and not be stressed out by Zaslabs of this world or Igers of this world. But I won't go there.
And those two things are so collaborative. Someone can write those words, but the writer is not going to be able to say those words and give it that emotion that an actor, if there's no writer, they have nothing. They have no words to say. So they very much go hand in hand. You need both. So I'm very supportive of this. I know there are a few people who are happy about the strikes. I'm not saying that there aren't, bad writers out there who probably don't deserve even what they're getting right now, and actors too, whatever the case may be. But I don't like to generalize. So at the end of the day, I'm still seeing it as people's livelihoods are eventually going to be affected. And to hear the CEO say that they want to wait until basically people can't pay their bills and stuff like that, to then come begging and running back to them and proposing AI, and it's like, get the fuck out of here. So I'm not a fan of this.
It's an answer that, well, who's controlling the AIs anyway? Humans. So it doesn't. It's a moot point. But the thing is that with AI, it just doesn't give an actor any platform or a writer any platform. It takes them out of the whole situation in question. So it has no feeling. AI does not have no feeling. It's Anyway, it's a good conversation, this one.
Hey,
But
we'll do it deep.
eventually, we're going to get to the point where the AI does have the
Start to
feeling,
feel. Yeah, and that's the
and then
scary
that's
part.
when things are going to get scary.
Yeah.
I
When we
mean,
can't
did the
when we can't tell
studios
the
aren't the
difference.
studios learning from their own movies? Did they not watch like Terminator? Did they not watch like their own sci-fi movies they produced? Like, this is just a bad idea all around. I'm sorry. And yeah, and I wanted to be an actress, so even more so I feel for them because I can't even imagine. I mean, this is what they love to do. And then hearing some of the stuff about the residuals as well because of streaming. I mean, streaming has ruined a lot. A lot.
Oh yeah, a great deal because there's so many streaming platforms out
Hmm.
there. It's costing the customers more money than
Probably
again.
having cable, yeah.
Well, essentially, we just have cable again anyway. I mean, that's what it
Right.
is.
That's what
It's
it's going backwards. Yeah.
these collections of different streaming networks that are all kind of joining together,
Hmm.
and it's like, you get this plus and that plus and this plus all for one low fee, and then you've got like 6 of those, and it's like, okay, well, that's basic cable and I'm paying twice as much for it. So where did we actually advance in any capacity? Especially because it was like they hooked us with the whole binge watching idea where you get it all at once.
Which I never liked anyway. So.
And but then they've reverted back to the weekly formula. So again, what's different? Like, I mean, to me, it's just normal television again, and
Right.
maybe the websites could be just a supplement to allow people to watch stuff on their own
Yeah.
time when they're not able to see it live.
Because think of it this way, the difference between cable and what we're getting on streaming, I mean, when you were watching basic cable and stuff like that, I mean, a season could be anywhere between what, 20, 28 episodes? But with streaming, you're maybe getting at the least maybe 6 or 8, and at the most maybe 12. So cable worked a little bit better in that sense because you had these things running for a lot longer, which is why I think there's become that anxiety of I need more content on streaming because I could tell you right now, I just canceled Disney Plus because I have
Bum, bum,
nothing to
bum.
watch. I'm not going to sit here and pay for a streaming service simply for the library essentially. I still have a lot of physical media. I still have DVDs. I still have VHSs. So I don't need Disney Plus
It's
to
it,
watch Pete's Dragon. Like I have that
it's
on TV.
funny.
I could pop
It's
it
funny,
in.
Shanti. I never took you for the cancel culture type. I'm just saying.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm about to cancel you.
You can't fire him on my show. Sorry, yeah.
Exactly. I'm protected.
Yeah.
This,
Let's move to Scarif After Dark. Why the rebrand? I mean, that's the question I want to ask. It's a good rebrand. Don't get me wrong. Scarif After Dark was great, but it's a really good rebrand to pop my culture.
Between Josh and I, we have so much useless pop culture knowledge and stuff like that. So while I did enjoy the premise at first of Scarif After Dark, I did find it to start becoming limited like very quickly. And with pop
well,
culture, there's just only so far you can take the Scarif After Dark thing, and the pop culture just really opened everything up.
at its
It
core,
did.
ultimately,
It really
Scarif
did.
After Dark
Yeah.
was never its own channel. It was a spin-off.
Right.
You had the Scarif Scuttlebutt, and this was the spicier, more adult side of that channel.
Right,
This
because
was
we were going on
Scarif
after Scarif
After
Live.
Dark.
Yeah.
And that was the whole stress of it. But we realized that the things we enjoyed doing the most were the things that fell outside of that wheelhouse. Like when we did the tour and the interview at Bits and Buttons Toy Store, things like that. We really enjoyed more the analysis of it all and the nostalgia of what we were getting into, and
We
the
all
getting to kind of sit around and reminisce and the fun of it. And we didn't want our hands to be tied. And we also realized that we were named Scarif,
Scarif, right? Oh, that was
which is
just what I was
obviously a
just gonna
Star
say.
Wars motif. And we literally did one
One
episode
episode.
about anything Star Wars, and that was the one about R2D2's Swiss Army Dick, and
and
everything else.
ironically was the worst. It's
Yeah.
the worst episode in our playlist.
So I mean, it just we
It's a
realized that
really good rebrand, though.
it tied our hands too much. So we needed to come up with something that was
And it
more
still has our
generalized.
and it still has our sense of humor. I mean, obviously the name itself, Pop My Culture, is a play on words of popping someone's cherry. So, we just thought it's still keeping in tone. I don't know about you, honey, but for me, like, comedy is just, it's very important. So, we just wanted it to be fun and silly, because even though it's called Pop My Culture, it's not primarily a sex driven show. We're just being
I don't know
ourselves and
about
being
you, but
completely stupid.
I mean, literally, my last comment in the chat was hashtag all the boobs. So
I'm not in the chat. I'm on my phone, so I can't see what's going on in
Thing
there.
is, with what fascinates me and I enjoy it is because the rebrand
G4 started it, by the way.
is
Just
a lot,
Damn you, sugar
a
bush.
lot lighter. It's a lot more funnier, and you can go down so many avenues
Oh yeah.
of pop culture. So many avenues, so many decades you can probably talk about, and so many
Oh
things
yeah.
you can talk about. So that's why I like it, because it is. You can talk about the 80s until the dogs come home or the cows
Oh,
come
and that's
home.
what we've said. Yeah, I
Right?
mean,
So
I
in the
agree with you.
70s as well, you can imply that. I mean, even I was thinking of the late 50s
Mhm.
going into the 60s. So I mean, the music in the late 50s to 60s is
Mhm.
amazing. So that's
Yeah.
pop my culture, really, isn't it? So
No, it is.
if you
And as much as, I mean, we haven't really delved this deep yet, but I do find it that the topics are coming a lot, easier to me, and I already have like a couple of things in my head. But in terms of, like, particularly what you're saying about the 50s and 60s, they're still pop culture relevant. Even if some of the younger ages don't know it, it is still somehow in their face. And to be quite honest, I would love to actually do something about that, because what are you laughing at?
nothing.
Uh-huh. Because I said in your face. I would like to do the 50s and 60s, honestly, because if there is one thing that I've had a complaint about this current young generation, is I just don't, I mean, I don't like to generalize. I don't know if this is happening in every household, but my parents and my grandparents had me listen to everything, from the past into the present. So, and I don't feel like that's happening anymore. I feel like they're just listening to whatever is currently on, iTunes or wherever they're listening to music, because I don't even know where kids listen to music anymore. But do they know music of the 50s and the 60s? Do they know artists like that? No. So, yeah, I mean, that's why it was amazing to me that Kate Bush suddenly became this big thing after Stranger Things. And I'm like, yeah, you don't know who fucking Kate Bush is?
Well,
I mean,
they don't.
They
you could
don't.
probably
And
say
that's
that
sad.
to a lot of bands who've kept going that the kids might know, like AC/DC, kept going, and a lot of metal bands, or even from a time was it Rolling Stones, Mick
Mhm.
Jagger, right? Um, but I think they've stopped now. But the thing is that can I get away with saying, could you go back to the fashions of 1920s pop culture
Yes.
and that? So, and leave out a big decade of World War One and Two. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, there is a lot to actually talk about on your show,
Oh,
which
yeah.
broadens people's horizons. Would you say something about that? Would you say that, Josh?
Well, absolutely, and even you talk about World War I and World War II. that in and of itself could be a topic for a show. You
Mm,
know, the impact that wartime has on pop culture, because it heavily influences, you know, the entertainment that people watch, the advertising that is used by companies, you know, the the way people approach things back then, and even now, like during wartime, is very different, and the culture kind of revolves itself around that. So yeah, I think that we could definitely, you know, look at like the pinups, which we've kind of
Oh
talked about in
yeah.
other episodes, you know, and what that really meant and what it represented to have one on the side of a plane during wartime. Um,
I
and
mean,
again,
comic books started
yeah,
during all of that. So,
you know, I
I
mean,
mean,
Captain America, World War II.
thanks, Cap.
Thanks, Cap. But yeah, so I mean, world war is definitely not something to leave out. If anything, it's right up our alley.
oh yeah.
And again, this is what we love about the rebranding, is it gives us that opportunity
Uh,
to really pick our brains about things. And if something like that comes up that's kind of off the wall, it's not off brand for us to talk about it, because
mhm.
we're limitless.
Yep.
And there's so much of it around, really, isn't it? I mean, even in today's age, like you said before, there's so many things back in the 80s that we're still kind of talking about today,
Hmm.
or the 70s we're talking about today. So learn some of it good, some of it bad. Learn from our mistakes as the war, but
Right.
also I'm wearing a denim jacket for God's sake. I mean, that's it's
Like I was
um,
talking about the pinups, like those are relevant today, and that was something that began during World War II. So
And I'm seeing 80s and 90s fashion hitting the malls again. It's slightly, slightly different, but I see the influence. When I was in high school, bell bottoms came back, into fashion. So everything that's old does eventually become new again. So it
mm,
definitely
mm,
broadens the horizons
mm.
there. My mom would, tell me, she's like, I can't believe that you girls are wearing bell bottoms. She's like, that's what I wore when I was in high school. So yeah, it's interesting to kind of to see that progression and see how all that becomes new again. Hey, Nathan.
hey, Nathan,
Thanks for
Captain
joining.
Space Pants.
Captain Space Pants, yes.
Yeah.
Is this live? Yes, it is.
Yes. I love that Blue asks that. It cracks me up every time he asks
Um,
that.
Hey,
yeah,
Sonny.
And honestly, I do hope that we end up actually learning from each other because I'm sure there's not a huge age difference between Josh and I, but it is enough to just slightly where obviously he experienced things a little bit differently because I might have still been in middle school and he was already a teenager. And there are things that might have already been past his age. So and I hope to learn from him and him to learn from me.
Yeah,
it's well,
what she
it's
said.
Yeah, see,
yeah,
I'm always
it's
right.
you said that you the coming out of the 80s, right, Shanti? So what, 80, 89?
86.
86?
Yes.
Sorry,
Those were
86.
great 4
Right,
years.
so 4 years. And then, yes, and Josh is probably a little bit, what, uh, early 80s.
Josh is 70
So,
years old.
yeah, he looks it today.
I'm 132.
But yeah, you do. I mean, yeah, it's you do have that certain,
Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne
Yeah,
sais
yeah.
quoi.
yeah. How
But you
many
can be
licks
nice.
does it
You can
take
be
to
nice
get
each
to the
other.
Tootsie Roll center of a
Mm,
Josh Pop?
Can you let the
mm,
man
The
talk, you
world may never
asshole?
know. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Pete.
yeah, that's
I'm
right.
old.
Um,
I can't control him.
I don't think anybody can actually.
No.
Not even myself.
Yeah, apparently.
Probably got incontinence problems, Shanty. So we'll just leave it at
Eh,
that. So, um,
it
so
happens.
yeah. I mean, tell me all the because you go on different channels as well, don't you? Like Like, how did that start? Like,
Not as much as
rum,
I
Lego
used
studs and stuff
to.
like that. How did you get introduced by Lego studs and you know?
This guy right here, he infiltrated everything. I mean, I wouldn't know the MLA if not for Josh, honestly. So, and
We're Simon and Garfunkel. I'm Garfunkel. I'm the brains behind.
can
She's
you please
just the
just kick him
face.
out?
Mhm.
No, it really was. It was all him. It was
They
really
broke
all
up,
him.
Josh. Sorry to say that they broke up. So
Yeah, it happens.
This is all Josh's fault. So,
We
like
know our
everything
future.
else.
We're destined to
And
split
I
up.
wanted to go on the Lego studs because I had already built a Lego set before, and
She was jealous.
I wanted to go on because I thought it
Wanted
looked
to
like
hang out with the
fun,
boys and the
and it
cool
was therapeutic.
kids.
I had mainly guy friends from
Mhm.
high school and on, so yes, I am used to being the only girl. I'm used to being around the
Thank you.
boys.
Uh-huh.
Like Kelly is a recent friend. Like we've only, I don't know if she's still in the chat or not, but Lunar Girl, Kelly and I have been
We've
what?
only scissored 3 times.
Yeah, I mean,
What?
she's my first, like, probably true, real, like, girlfriend. Her and my other friend Tina, who's always in the chats as well. Not the Tina that you guys know from the MLA, another Tina. But I mean, I just met these women recently through, the whole pandemic and stuff like that. But for the most part, yeah, it was always very difficult for me making friends with women because bitches be crazy.
Mhm, mhm.
all
And
stems
she
around
likes
the
being the
pandemic,
center of
doesn't it?
attention, so,
So it
True,
all
can you
stems around for the
stop
pandemic, though,
saying
doesn't it?
that?
it does.
So
That's why I can't dump on social media as much as people do, because yes, like everything else, it has its problems, but I can't complain about Twitter and social media and YouTube because that's how I met all of you guys. So I have to find the silver lining. I
Mhm.
have to see the good side of things. If not, we'll all
Oh,
be
yeah.
miserable. I'm depressed enough as it is.
Yeah, we can't
Behind
really
closed doors, like, yeah.
should we blame COVID or thank COVID? I'm just saying.
Honestly, I hate what happened during COVID. Unfortunately, my dad lost a couple of long-time coworkers to COVID, so it does suck. See, but at the same point, there were some positives that came out of it. I mean, living in Miami, we're a peninsula, we're surrounded by waters. I mean, waters that have always been very murky were suddenly clear. You were seeing species that we hadn't seen in a very long time.
Did you
So,
say peninsula? You're a
I mean,
peninsula?
technically, I do live in the dick of the
It is the
U.S.
dick.
So it
Yeah,
is
not
the
only the
dick
dick.
of the
You're the
U.S.
you're
I'm
the
at the
pee
tip
hole. You're the
almost.
tip. You're the pee hole of the United States.
Miami's not the pee hole.
Yes, it
you're at the
is.
nubbin.
The
You're at the
keys
And
nubbin.
are.
no, the
Angie.
keys are the dribble out of the pee hole.
Yeah. You're at the nubbin. We call it the
Yes.
nubbin.
Yes.
I'm the head.
Uh,
You could call it
Salacious
anything you
knows all
want.
about
Just don't
nubbins.
call me Shirley. Sorry.
We should talk about Airplane. That's such a great movie.
I gotta say, I gotta say, it's. How do you do it? How do you actually? I mean, how do you get together? Because you've got such. Why the I have to bring this up. Why have you gone so sexually innuendo euphemism kind of type humor?
Because
I do it. I do it. I know it's a strange question, but I do.
I've been like this since high school. I've
Yeah.
been like this since high school. I can't help it.
I can't think of anything but dirty jokes. Toilet
Yeah,
humor is my favorite.
honestly, I
So.
think that comes, I mean, honestly, it's like they said in Revenge of the Nerds, all jocks think about are sports, all nerds think about are sex. And I really do think there is something to be said about that. I wasn't going to parties. I wasn't popular. I wasn't a cheerleader. I was a nothing. I was teased. I was a dork. I got glasses at 10 years old. I was ridiculed to hell and back. I was persona non grata in elementary, middle school. And
Well, I think it's from watching all the scrambled porn.
oh my God.
So
I don't know what
I
you were
had to
doing. I'm
imagine in
speaking
my
for me,
mind
not you.
what I was actually
But that's the
seeing.
thing, as
So it made
nerds.
me very sexually oriented in my
But that's the
imagination.
thing, as nerds, because we weren't
Scrambled
getting
porn.
invited to the parties, what did we have?
Scrambled
Nothing but
porn.
our imagination. No, you
I
dumb
got invited
fuck.
to the parties.
All we had is our imagination. You know how much time I have spent just in my mind? Because
I
we
got
were just in our rooms
Watching scrambled
TV,
porn. Yeah,
playing video
see?
games,
Watching scrambled porn.
I got invited to the parties.
masturbating to Conan O'Brien. I like to
Oh
make
my
him
God.
jealous.
I
See?
I watch the porn. Yeah.
Yes, I win.
Um,
I know how to piss him off. He's so jealous of
You
Conan
get the
O'Brien.
chinchilla.
Uh-huh. He's so
Mhm.
jealous.
It's chinch time.
he's quite recently talking to Harrison Ford actually on the podcast.
Oh my God, that episode was so good. It was very, very funny. And he's been on his show a couple of times when he was still on TV.
And it's funny that you say how funny that episode was. And I've got a friend who always ridiculed me for not being a Han Solo fan and saying that Harrison Ford was an ass. And my friend told me that I was crazy and that Harrison Ford's awesome. And then he listened to that interview and he was like, you know what? I'm sorry. You're right. Fuck him. So
he's being sarcastic. If you can't
is
understand the
he?
Harrison,
Is
yes,
he really?
is. Yes, he is. You can tell. Just because someone has a very dry sense of humor doesn't mean they're ass. There's different types of
It doesn't mean
humor
they're
out
funny
there.
either.
I thought he was hysterical, especially because he was really giving it to Conan, which I think you would enjoy. That he was insulting Conan.
I bet you enjoyed watching him give it to Conan.
I really did.
The only Conan that I know of is the Barbarian.
You
I've
can
told
go
you this
fuck
many
yourself
times.
with that. He's just jealous because I actually met Conan and he thinks that Conan's gonna take me away from him.
See, ladies,
And you
and
know what? I
gentlemen
hope he does.
of the chat. This is why this works. The dichotomy of pop my culture. This is why it works.
It's because we sit there and argue half the time.
Mhm.
Like I've said
It's
before,
only
it's
gonna
just
get
like
worse
watching
once
your
we're in the
parents
same
at the dinner
room.
table. Yeah.
So I'm quite looking forward to that. Seeing in the same room.
If you don't
Oh
need
my God.
therapy after watching an episode of
I
anything,
can't even
that we're in,
imagine.
then
I can't
we
even
didn't do
imagine
our
what it's
job.
gonna be like when we're streaming in the same room. That's gonna be crazy.
God. I do actually, however, want to ask this question that going back to the 80s talk.
Ask whatever you want.
Because I was really interested in this. I think I was talking to Josh
Bring
about
it.
this. That's if I ever get a chance to actually hop onto pop my culture, I would love to talk about 80s because I lived through that. Because it's just not really because you vocalized everything what's going on in the US, but we over here in Australia had different.
We have a whole plan, so don't.
We have a plan. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
That's
trust me, we've
something that's
discussed
actually
it.
been
So
discussed. So
yes.
don't worry, because we saw that the 80s was a very popular topic
And
that
after
night.
you and I had
So
that conversation,
yes,
yeah, she and I discussed it, and yeah, we will be moving forward with that.
oh yeah.
But
was
that
a
won't be
great,
until
great,
sometime
great
in
idea.
August at the earliest.
so
So keep your calendar free, Pete. We'll be calling you up.
How many hours ahead are you, Pete?
Probably 18 there, isn't it?
Okay.
18 hours ahead. So
Because
Okay.
it's 9 p.m. our time, so
yeah, 9 p.m. your time. So because it's 12 p.m. when we started, and it's
Okay.
so yeah, because you were doing it Eastern Standard Time, so
that'd be 16 hours.
Yeah.
16
oh my
hours.
God, Blue.
Like pop my culture is pretty good for my time as well because you're live, and I'm in the daytime there, so it's quite convenient for me. So,
Blue Sasquatch says you look like you're staying in a 1-star motel, Josh.
Yeah. No comment.
His chip. Was it? Was it? Wait. I like the kind of plan. Waiting for 70s. So, but I don't know what that's about, guys. I
I
don't know
love
what
the
that's about.
70s.
So,
I'm really looking forward to talking about that decade.
yeah. Well, it's a great decade. I was born in 1971.
Okay.
So I don't know too much about it. I remember going to Disneyland when I was 7 years old, so that was in the 70s. I think. So, but did you have a time? Did you have a time of? I ask this all my guests, but did you have a time of when you were younger? Did you fall out of love of buying figures or talking about movies, or did or did it go down a different path, or stay on the same road? If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Genty, yeah.
Oh, me. Or
Yeah, yeah.
I
Did it
have
change?
never fallen out of love with movies in general in terms of the art of film. Now, if you are wanting to talk about a particular part of the movie industry, like for instance, or a particular type of genre or movie, then yeah, I would say that recently. What are you laughing at? Oh
I'm gonna
God.
show. I'm gonna show
Pay no
Squat.
attention to the man behind the
Squatch wants
curtain.
to see the hookers. So
No, what I mean about that. So I probably didn't make myself clear.
there's like a red light flashing back there.
Like
Word.
when people start, particularly when they're younger, like action figures, for example,
Mhm.
right? Then you meet girls or meet boys and stuff like that. Did that change? That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Was
no.
the mindset of going from collecting Star Wars or even watching films, and then that changed. Did something change that maybe you went to drinking, for example, or or let's say you lived
No.
a different life and then
No.
came back to it. So
No. The passions that I've had as a 5-year-old, I still have. That's never changed. Nothing's ever has replaced it. That passion will always be there. I will never fall out of love with those things. So did I compromise on those things at one point in my life? I did, and I regret allowing myself to get into that situation. But I'm no longer in that situation anymore. So, which is why I've been living at the movie theaters so much again, because it's truly like the one thing that I mean, I'm being serious. I feel like I probably go to the movies like every week now. I find an excuse to go watch something. I don't care what it is. I will go watch it. Yeah, no, that's have I no. Mm-mm.
right, okay. Josh, you?
Um, yeah, no, I have. I've fallen out of love with collecting. I've fallen out of love with the movies and with television many times uh, due to a variety of different things. Um, Sometimes it's just a matter of the stress in life is too distracting for me to be able to truly escape into those things. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it is girls because I'm all about that ass. And
You fucking pig.
what?
What?
Huh? And
Huh? Who's on first?
and you know, sometimes it was about work. Sometimes it was about disillusionment with the industry of filmmaking and a frustration with it. There's only as much as I enjoy the magic of it. Sometimes I do become very irritated with the politics of it and the weight that people put into the words of these in essence, pretenders. I mean, they're people who make millions of dollars to pretend to be someone else,
Right.
and we're supposed to take their word on anything as gospel. That is a joke. And for me to want to respect that sometimes can be a hard pill to swallow. Not to mention working for so many years in the industry that supports that industry, the
Right.
industry that makes those millions of dollars, billions of dollars,
Right.
for the better part of, well, for a quarter of a century, over a quarter of a century, and missed every holiday and every special event in my now grown children's lives for the sake of that industry. No, sometimes I find myself embittered. Sometimes I find myself frustrated. And then by default, because the toys, because the collectibles represent the nostalgia and the love of that, when I'm disillusioned and embittered by that, by entertainment, in turn, I'm disillusioned and embittered towards the toys, and it becomes meaningless to me, and I become frustrated with it, and I want to just sell all of them. I mean, that's the reality of it, and I'm sure to a certain extent, all of us experience that on
Mm.
What a
on some
ball of
level.
joy you are.
Well, I mean, ask the question, I'm going to
I'm
give you an answer.
joking.
So yeah, I mean, that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
But now, do I still love the movies? Yes. Are there times where I love them more than others? Yes.
Chanty,
Yes, I
do
see the
you
question.
ever hear a question from? I don't know, I think it's a legitimate question from Gilster. I'm not too sure. Shanty, do you ever play film producer? Ideas for movies who direct, cast, and soundtracks. So, I don't know, is that a question? So,
So, like I said
is
earlier,
that a question, Gilster? I don't know if it was
yeah, I mean, I'm happy to answer it, whether it's serious or not. I don't know if he means that honestly or if he means that in
I
a
don't know if that's a
weird
legitimate
sexual way.
question.
Is he talking about role playing?
I like to play producer. Let's make a movie. Let's make a movie, baby.
I'm switching.
Echo. Woo! Technical
Oop.
difficulties. So you were right to kick her out. That's fine.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
There
Only
we
if
go.
I
I was
put
tired of being
quarters
on
in
my
it, Squatch.
phone. I was tired of being on my
Only if I put quarters in it. He's asking me if the bed vibrates. So,
Yeah, that's what I was asking you. Yeah.
Anyway.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Stick a fork in me. I'm done.
Yes, you are.
That's an old joke. Oh God, you're getting old, man.
I'm
Yes,
an
he
old
is.
guy.
Oh shit. Even that's a bad dad joke.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah. So, Josh, what's happening to you today?
What do you mean? Just being honest.
Where was I going with this? I'm getting there. It's really hot here in New Zealand at the moment. It's supposed to be winter here, for God's sake. It's fucking winter. Yeah, I mean, what's the fascination? You have a Shanti, you have a fascination with Batman, right?
Yes, I do.
Right. And Nightmare Nightmare Before Christmas, which
Yes.
I like as well. So tell us the fascination is it the leather? Is it
Well, the Batman stuff for sure. I can tell you that is definitely the influence of my parents because being at the age that they are, they grew up with the show, with Adam West, and they definitely, went to go see Batman 89 and Batman Returns in the theaters. So, that was a big deal for them, especially for my mom, who's like head over heels in love with Michael Keaton, which So am I. So like mother, like daughter. So the Batman thing, that was just the influence of my parents. I mean, I found a picture recently of me as a 4-year-old wearing the Batman 89 shirt. So that's just always been in me. Nightmare Before Christmas. I did not see that movie in the theater when it came out, but I was always fascinated with horror from a young age. Horror, not horrors. Horror
Mhm.
from a young age.
Yeah, no,
Wait,
that's
wait till
my
the
back.
chat gets
That's
to that. Wait till the chat gets to that. Oh my
I
god.
always, I always liked, I always liked scary stuff. I was always kind of a morbid kid, and I think that came from growing up in the era of Tim Burton, and I watched Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands and things like that, and I just grew up with all that kind of morbid stuff, and I loved Frankenstein and the Universal monsters. And I saw Nightmare Before Christmas, and what I loved about it is that it combined a lot of things that I love, which was it combined Christmas, it combined Halloween, and
Easter.
it's a musical, and I love
Easter.
music. Huh?
Easter.
Yeah.
Musical.
I won't get into Easter, but no, I mean it
Musicals.
did. I love all those things. I love Christmas. I love Halloween, and I love musicals. So I love the music. I love singing, and not only that, but I just loved the stop motion animation. I always thought that was just such an incredible
Look,
form of
you got to
animation.
check my channel out because I did a review on Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
I'll go
so
back and watch it.
that was my first one of my first reviews. It was that movie because I like Jack O'Lantern. Was it Jack? Yeah, Jack and
Jack Skellington. Yeah.
Jack Skeleton. I was Jack O'Lantern. What bloody hell? Yeah. I'm not a fan of horror, but that one I can actually sit through without getting scared. Um, so, uh, Josh, do you have
Mhm.
a? Hmm. I'm trying to get my words up. I'm like Hugh Grant at the moment. I'm trying to stifle them out. What do you bring to the table for the movie wise? What's your favorite ingredient to put in pop my culture? Like Shanty's got the Batman and Nightmare Before Christmas, and so I mean, I'm not going to mention Andor because you'll just go off your. So,
What
um,
is what is my thing?
strange questions at the moment. I'm just, I know that. So, um, go for
You
it.
know, I mean,
I don't
ultimately,
know.
Star Wars is always going to be kind of where my heart is. And and I really do love all of the comic book stuff. It's things that I always dreamed we could really see as a kid, and it's wonderful to finally get to see them. But I hate that they've oversaturated the market so much with both, that it's become difficult for them to sustain themselves because people are bored with them. So I don't know. People ask me why I've never gotten a tattoo, and I say because I don't like anything enough to put it on my body permanently.
Loser.
So for that reason, I can apply that to kind of pop culture in general and my likes and dislikes. I mean, I love lots of things, but is there one thing that's really the driver? No, it really just kind of depends on the day of the week, the mood that I'm in. Um, like I said, sometimes there's nothing that I'm interested in, and sometimes, I can't consume enough of a certain thing. And it just, maybe I'm just too wishy-washy. So I do love all of it, but then I love none of it, if that makes sense.
God. He's a
What?
complex man,
I
Peter.
am.
He's a
Yeah.
complex man.
How can you? Oh, I suppose you can, and you can. Yeah, it's yeah. Could you say it's a difference of opinion on stuff, though, Josh? I mean, you like it or hate it, so or dislike
I
it.
mean,
So, I mean,
you can take it
prob-
or leave it. I mean, people are entitled to their opinions, and I don't think mine is any more valid than anyone else's. Um, I think that it's important to know what you're talking about, and some
Mhm.
people are just talking out of their asses. But you can tell when someone's learned in the topic and when they're just regurgitating something that they've heard
Right.
elsewhere.
It
Um,
brings me to a great uh, conversation here, because we're going right back to what we discussed before as opinions, isn't it?
Mhm.
Do you think there's too many opinions on YouTube about films and television and the like?
yeah, I think everybody beats the dead horse until it's nothing but ash and dust. I mean, it's just I think that people harp on things and harp on things. I was doing the Book of Boba Fett review show with Paul's Collectibles, which was kind of my first regular series thing. Hey, keep on. Um, and uh, and anyway, I kept commenting about how we were talking about a show that each episode was maybe a half an hour long. And we were bitching about it for 2 hours. I like, at what point is enough enough? I mean, not only did it waste a half hour of our lives by being bad
Mhm.
each week, but then on top of that, we wasted 2 more whole hours, 4 times as much time bitching about it. And then how much more time did we waste listening to other people bitch about it? There's a point where it's just, again, it's oversaturation, just
Mhm.
as much as there's too much Star Wars content and Marvel content and comic book content in general, or remakes or prequels or sequels way too far after the fact. You know, there's too much of too much of a good thing is
Is never
bad.
a good thing. Yeah, it's true.
So I mean, it's just,
I mean, look how podcasting was in the beginning, it was like it kind of took me a while to finally start even listening to a podcast, and this was at the very beginning of it. Then all of a sudden it's like everyone has a podcast. So it's like, how can there's so many different opinions, but it gets to the point where now everyone just sounds the same,
yeah,
and that's why we just didn't want it to be that we're just doing reviews like a lot of people do. I mean, that's why we kind of created the segment of the sticky spot, so like our main live stream is going to be about pop culture, but then we do a little segment called the sticky spot that's separate from the stream that we record, where we might just review a movie or something that we just watched, because we just, at the end of the day, uh,
we don't want to
I
be
like
we don't want that to be what represents the
we don't
channel.
exactly,
No,
it just
right.
becomes exhausting,
Yeah.
and eventually it
So,
will become
yeah.
negative,
I
and I
mean,
Because
don't
it
yeah,
want
is
that.
just
yeah,
it's just one more sound in a
yeah.
a giant
It's
vat
just an
of
echo
noise.
chamber.
Can
Yeah.
you relate on if you do get somebody, i.e., let's make it me, for instance, talking about the 80s,
Hmm.
right? Okay, can you have an open mind of it? Will get a little bit negative, but in a positive way, in a conversation.
I wouldn't see it as ever getting negative, because I see it
You're
as,
open to a. You're open
I'm
to
open
a.
to it because it's a
Open,
learning
right.
experience. And
Yeah.
having never lived anywhere else but this country, yes, I would be very interested in knowing what the 80s were like in
I
different
mean,
countries.
your conversations on pop culture is great. I mean, fantastic. The comic book lady, with the boobs,
Yeah.
comic, that was amazing, right? And the two lads
Yes,
who
it
was
was.
in depth, was it in depth?
Yeah, depths. Yeah.
That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, because they came with a lot of knowledge,
Hmm.
and you were open to that, but they didn't really have a invoking of being negative. But if
Right.
somebody comes into the show, are you open to actually say that we'll have a healthy discussion?
Oh, yes. I mean, even with the Disney one, as much as we wanted to keep it light on Sunday, there still was a point where we just couldn't escape addressing the current state of Disney. So
Yeah, we
we
definitely
did,
didn't
we
pretend it
definitely
didn't
still,
exist.
yeah, we still
Yeah.
touched upon it because there was just no other way around it.
Yeah.
Whatever. And listen, hey,
I'm
watch
not
our
trying to. I'm not trying
watch
to
our
invoke.
Flash. Oh, no, no, no.
I'm,
Watch our Flash review. You want to talk about negative? Me, Josh, and our guest for that sticky spot, we fucking hated the Flash and we bashed the hell out of it. So
I
believe me,
haven't seen it yet. I've not
we're
seen it
not
yet.
No.
above and beyond giving
Yeah.
our opinion, whether negative or positive. That's for sure.
Well, I see that. I hear that on your show that you
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said that you didn't like the Flash, right? Which is evident because love it or hate it, it's
Yeah.
another divisive film. Which I mean, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really say anything about it. But things
I,
that
I thought it was called The Flesh, and I thought I was going to a porn, and it was
Yeah.
so.
I'm a very balanced person, you know. I'm not going to sit here and dump on everything because that's just a life of misery. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that everything is all fucking sunshine and rainbows because I would look like I've been lobotomized. So, you know what I mean? So it's like to say that you're going to love everything or to hate everything, believe it or not, I actually find
yeah,
that to be dishonest.
it's
There's
it's
no way
something.
you love absolutely everything, and there's no way you absolutely
And
hate
that's where the
everything.
opinions come into it. That's where the
Yeah,
opinions come into it.
yeah,
It's whether you go to a channel and you listen to that opinion, and it's so harsh
exactly.
it's so harsh that you can't you don't want to be there, but you listen anyway because it
Hmm.
could have some nugget in there.
Right,
Or you
right.
go to a different channel like yours, which is positive, fun, right? And you sit there and you enjoy the chat, right?
Yeah.
And so uh, YouTube has got so I'm sorry to say this either messed up or togetherness or we're are we all sifting through a fine line here with YouTube, or are we together in a community, or are we fighting with each other? So are we juggling? That's what I'm saying. Are we juggling? Is there a question on that? I don't know. So,
We just need
um,
to, everyone just really, and I'm not saying anyone here that we know or anything, I'm just saying in general, everyone
right.
just really needs to fucking stop insulting each other, is what it boils
Yeah,
down
yeah.
to.
I say,
I
Yeah,
think
and you can.
people are looking at too many things as just, as it's just black and white. No, no, no. You can't sit here, especially for those who have kids. You can't sit here and teach your children, which I can't stand. It's the whole do as I say, not as I do. You can't sit here and tell your children and teach them forgiveness, but then you're canceling every single motherfucker that you see down the street. You can't sit here and tell your children, listen, you have to learn how to respect one another. Don't bully anybody and this and that. But then you're going and you're bullying people online. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, how are you teaching your kids this when you know you're doing the exact opposite in your own personal life? And that's the problem that I have. So just respect each other. That's why I say, listen, if you've got an opinion, great. If it goes against ours, that's fine. Just be respectful. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
Don't be racist. Don't be misogynistic. Don't be foul in that sense. Don't insult our guests. Don't insult the people that are in our chat. That's all we ask. We want to bring the art of conversation back because we've lost it completely.
And contrary to popular belief, you can have a different opinion from someone
Yes.
and
Yeah.
still be
Do you
friends.
think Josh and
It's
I
okay
agree on everything? Absolutely not. How boring of a
most of the
life would that be? This Gen Z wants a utopian society, and it ain't going to happen. Where there's good, there's bad. Where there's bad, there's good. There's just, exactly. I mean, that is just a basic,
time. Do unto others.
yeah, that's just a basic thing. That's karma. That's nature. That's the universe. Yeah.
And that's where why I love your show, because it is pop my culture very popular, because it spreads joy, even in the sexual innuendo euphemisms. It spreads joy. So it's in the chat, it's a bit of a laugh in the chat. So I mean, especially when you have Tina in the chat, it's full on. But yeah, it's. I like it. I will promote it as much as I can.
We appreciate that, Peter.
Anywhere, anytime, because I think it's a really good rebrand. Absolutely fantastic rebrand. So from Scarif After Dark to Pop My Culture, which is really lighter. It pops, you could say.
And I can tell you right now, I definitely understand now, and definitely believe an actor even more when they say, like, yes, I know that they're probably doing a lot of what they do for the money, but there is definitely a portion of them that they are doing it to entertain. They are doing it for the audience. And I can understand that now, because it definitely makes me happy to see everyone in our chat room having such a good time. And we really are doing this to entertain you guys, because life is shit. I have suffered from depression, anxiety almost my entire fucking life. I never want anyone to feel like how I feel behind closed doors on a daily basis, honestly. I mean, so, I see why comedians especially do what they do, and that's why I do it. I don't know why Josh does it. I think he does it just to be a nuisance, but I do this because I genuinely like to entertain. I like to make people laugh. I like to make people smile. It's a wonderful thing, and I love that we're laughing together.
See, Peter's the Leonard Maltin of oh wow. Hey Adam. I do poop a lot.
I'm a lady, I don't.
Peter is the Leonard Maltin of YouTube. He's got us on here like we're in the actor's studio. We're talking about the hard hitting topics. We're getting real.
I love it.
It's okay to be serious sometimes. I think it's nice to peel away the curtain and see, the vulnerable underbelly of people from time to time.
That's how I roll. So
I love it. I love it.
I've always asked the one or three hard questions, not hard-hitting questions, but I just like to get into a bit of the crux of people's lives a wee bit. So.
Oh no, I love it.
I've been doing that all my life, everybody. I like to share my testimony with other people in my life. So I've got nothing to hide. Well, actually, one or two things to hide, but you don't have to.
Don't we all?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you with that. Josh and Shanti, you have been great guests. Fantastic.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you had great questions. I mean, really great questions. I loved it.
Thank you. I'm gonna leave them on here. I'm not gonna put them in the green room. I'm just gonna say thank you very much. And thank you very much to everybody out there, Luna Girl, Rolando. Thank you for keep on collecting Matt. Off-world, thanks for joining in. Nathan, popping in. The P.G.M Show, fantastic. You've been a great audience. Blue, I usually do this before. Name them all. Anyway, whoever Gilster, people have probably forgotten. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me, Josh and Shanti on the P.G.M Show. And anyway, before we actually do go, have you got anything coming up on Pop My Culture?
Talk to the boss.
Oh.
You Shanti.
Because he doesn't do shit.
I don't do a damn thing.
He doesn't do a damn fucking thing but show up and look cute.
I do everything that matters.
Yeah, he consults, basically. He tells me, he just gives me his opinion.
I'm the consultant, yes. And you know what? That's why we've been so successful.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Anyway, I let him think that. That's what a good girlfriend I am. No,
Like, you
well, I
sure
am
are
watching.
pretty.
I'm watching. Well, we both are watching Barbie and Oppenheimer. I'm not sure if we're gonna touch on Oppenheimer, but we definitely have something in the works to do a review of Barbie.
That's you. That's down there.
But there is no live stream this week. There will not be a live stream next weekend either because Josh and I are going to Disney. We're going to Magic Kingdom, but we will be pre-recording.
Disneyland.
We will be pre-recording the Barbie review, so we'll just be dropping that as a live premiere next week. So at least we're pushing something out, and then we're not really sure yet what the next topic is going to be for the live stream, but. I have an idea.
Yeah.
We have a couple of ideas.
We have a couple of ideas. Yeah, we just need to pick one. So just, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that notification bell, and you'll know when we're live. And I mark it like crazy. So follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I know everybody's in the chat's probably knows of pop culture, but anyway, I'm going to say out there in my part of the world, New Zealand, if anybody's one of my friends in New Zealand is watching this, go and watch Pop My Culture with Shanti and Josh out there in New Zealand land. If you want to go and have a good time and dealing with all their crap, you can have it's their comedy.
Come on, we're almost at 300 subs. We're like
We're so
far
close.
away.
Yet
We're
so
so
far.
close.
I'm going to plug my own show and say, please subscribe to me, P.G.M
Absolutely.
P.G.M Show. And again, it's been a delight having you, Josh, having you, Shanti, Pop My Culture.
No, you could just stop it at having you, Josh. You didn't have to include her. It's fine.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the cheating thing and go this. Hang on. And hang on. I'll just hang on. Hey everybody. Thank you very much. And good night.